Hello everyone, welcome. Welcome to this special session which is directed towards the SBI PO Phase 3 preparation and more specifically the psychometric test part of it, right. So, this session, as I told you, would be relevant for everyone who is studying for SBI PO, but not only that, anyone who is going for a recruitment exam in the upcoming months, they would also be helped by this particular session, because psychometric test has become a part and parcel of almost all major recruitment exams, right. So, knowing about it, having the right mindset towards it is important from the perspective so that you can perform and be at ease in a psychometric test, right. Because see, psychometric test is something which does not require the candidate to be prepared a lot, because this is not a knowledge based or aptitude based test as such. So, but what it requires you to be is to be in the right mindset. Okay. So, how do you inculcate that right mindset, and with what mindset you should go into the psychometric test? That's very important. As I was going through, people talking about this SBI PO psychometric test, I found out that even the people who are guiding, they really did not know exactly what it would be. So, they are talking about in a very generic way about psychometric test, but specifically they are not saying what you need to do or in what mindset you should be going. That's what we are going to do here. So, if you are sitting for a recruitment exam which has psychometric test, this session is something that you shouldn't be missing, right? And obviously, all SBI PO Phase 3 people, they should not in any case miss this session. Now, Phase 3 is about what? Psychometric test, group exercise and interviews. Now, group exercise and interviews, we have done a lot of stuff on our channel, which is more than enough for you to get a good grip over yourself and prepare for the interview in the right way. Now, and for that, to help you in that, because some of you had been also asking about the group exercises and PI preparation, what I would suggest you is that in the description, I would be giving you 3 playlist links. Go through those playlists, right, starting with the first playlist first, then the second, then the third. And that would be more than enough for your group exercise and personal interview, because we have covered everything and anything that can be considered as something which can create a problem for a candidate inside that particular group exercise and interview session, right. So, go through it, and you would be, and obviously you'll have to follow the instructions that we give in those playlists, so that and you would be more than enough prepared for it, right. I'm sure that you have been doing it. All of our students have been doing it, and they are already prepared, but if you have not done it, just go through them, and that would be all. Now, coming to psychometric test, you see, understand one thing very clearly. If you have prepared interviews the way we have told you, then psychometric test would be a boon for you, because what do we say? We do not ask you to mugify answers. What we say is that make your own answers and then work out the best possible answer by preparing on that, right? So, we don't want you to mug a good answer, because that is an answer that seems to be good, has good language, has good words, and then fit it to your case. We specifically tell you not to do that. In our interview sessions, we have told you again and again, your answer should always be customized for you, because it's your interview, right? So, if you have done that, then automatically psychometric test would do nothing but set up the base for the interviewer, so that the interviewer asks questions from your area, from your strengths, because that's how psychometric tests are designed. I'll talk about it in detail, you will understand it. So, if you have not done that, please do that, because that's why psychometric test is there. Why? You see, psychometric tests are there to screen people who are lying in the interviews, who are not being genuine in the interviews. That is the reason why psychometric tests are done. Okay, to give a peek into your personality. They are not used as an elimination tool, but because students try to manage expectation of the interview, try to lie in the interview and create a good impression which is not theirs. Okay, therefore they are in a conundrum situation. They get entangled in a problematic situation from which they cannot come out. Right, that is the reason why psychometric tests, for those who have prepared sincerely with honest answers, honest but well prepared answers, for them psychometric test does not pose any problem at all. Right, now you will see. Now because that's the major question that comes into your mind, that why psychometric test. Now psychometric test is done for personality profiling. It is done to show your strengths and weaknesses, right? Your visual analytical skills. Sometimes I'm talking about recruitment scenarios. See, psychometric test is done in many scenarios, not only in recruitment. It is done in clinical, curing clinical depression, for patients who are mentally ill. There are different types of psychometric tests, but for recruitment, the purpose of the psychometric test is to understand your personality and strength, weaknesses, right? This is the major type of the first two are the major reason why psychometric tests are used in recruitment tests. Then there are some companies which thinks that the visual analytical skills will have to identify it, situational handling skills, how they are of the candidate, we will identify it, right? Now if you look at this, are there anything in this which would say that it would be an eliminating factor? No. You can have type A personality, I can have type B personality, someone might have type C personality, right? Everyone's personality would differ, no? Because we are different people. But what is not expected is that you have a personality and you are supposed to know about your personality, because you are going for the interviews where you have prepared about yourself and are sitting in front of the panel. But your psychometric test is showing something else and your interview answers are telling something else. What you are saying in the interview is showing something entirely else. That means what? You are trying to lie in the interview. You are trying to answer in the interview to make yourself look good in some areas which you are not, right? So that is something that psychometric test is a mirror of yours in front of the panel, and that's why they are taking the psychometric test just before the interview. So look at it in a positive way. If you are not doing that, if you are not lying, if you have prepared on your strengths and you know your weaknesses and you make your answers good answers, you have prepared your answers. I'm never saying that do not prepare your answers. I'm saying that do not say something which is not true for you, right? So you have prepared answers and then you have you're talking about that which matches your psychometric profile. They would be elated, they would be very happy, they would say, okay, this is the person that we want, and that's the opportunity they are giving to you, so that you are able to capitalize on that opportunity. Okay, right? So most probably you would have the first two kind of psychometric test or a mixture of the first two kind of psychometric test. But I would also tell you, if you have a situational handling skill test, what to do, and if you have visual analytic skill test, what to do, right? So now we come to what kind of psychometric test. Now the main idea becomes is what kind of psychometric test, okay? So as I told you, these are the reasons that I showed you in the last slide, where the reasons why the psychometric test is conducted. Now, what kind of test? First, majorly there are three types of tests that are used in recruitment. Personality test. Personality tests are used for personality profiling or strength weaknesses identification. Then there are situation judgment tests, are used for situation handling skills. And finally, there is theme based test, right? Theme based test can be visual analytical skills for identifying visual analytical skills. Normally, in MBA entrances, they also have thematic appreciation test, which is STAT. Which is a part of theme based test, but they are normally subjective in nature. So I think that would not be there. Even if it is there in one of the later sites, I will tell you what you should be doing in that, right? Now, the most important out of this is the personality test, and 90% recruiters take this before the recruiting new staff. That's the 90% of the cases. In middle level management, they take situation judgment test or theme based test, but in entry level management, always personality test. So we are hopeful that SBI PO would also do so. Nonetheless, even if they take the other 2 tests, what you should be doing, I will tell you. Now, personality test. See, there are 3 major tests which recruiters take in for this. See, personality test, there are hundreds types of personality tests. As I told you, the psychometric test is not only the domain of recruiters, it is the domain of psychologists, it is the domain of mental doctors who treat mentally ill patients, and so many stuff, right? Counselors. So it's a large domain which has uses for many professionals. Recruiters is one of them, right? Training and development staff of the HR department is another who take regular psychometric test of their employees and identify what training modules have to be imparted to each one of the employees. So that happens, right? Even after you go inside the company, psychometric tests would happen. That's how you gauge where your employees stand today, and you create training material from it. But at this stage, at recruitment stage, what are the tests that are used? MBTI, that is Myers-Briggs type indicator. So what Myers-Briggs type indicator does is that it divides the whole personality of a person into 4 parameters, and each parameter has 2 alternatives, like extroversion or introversion. So either a person is extrovert or a person is introvert, either a person is sensor or an intuitive, thinker or a feeler, judgmental or a perceptive person, right? So on these parameters, they identify the character of the person. So either a person is ESTJ, that means extrovert, sensory kind of person, thinking kind of person, and judgmental kind of person, or EIFP. Any one of these 4 alternatives can happen. That is one kind of test, one of the most popular tests. Then there is a 16 questionnaire personality effectiveness scale that is used, okay, where the final result shows whether you have an effective personality or an insensitive personality or an egocentric personality or a dogmatic personality, secretive. So there are 8 personality types in which it's basically a scale from effective to ineffective, and they put you in between. But nowadays, what has happened, recruiters have started joining the first 2 and making a more comprehensive test. Okay. Before that, I'll talk about the caliper profile also. Now, caliper profile is normally a test which is customized for sectors. Maybe for banking sector, they have a caliper profile test. Okay. So that might happen, might not happen also. They might give you a test based on MBTI and personality effective test, which is a specifically designed one combining all the aspects of the other personality tests. Now, in these, the 4th one, the specifically designed one, are the ones that companies are nowadays preferring rather than going on for the standardized version of them. Because there are 2 reasons. One is that when you customize it, you can customize it for your organization. As I said, that they are taking that customization from the caliper profile. They are taking the personality effectiveness scale, the parameters, and they are taking the questionnaire format of MBTI, because MBTI's questionnaire format is treated as one of the best when it comes to ascertaining the personality types, right? So, a specifically designed one, and what I hope is that is what you would get inside the paper. To give you an idea of that, so that you are not, you're not caught unawares, you are not surprised by what you get out there, I have given a link of that test, right? What I have done is that I went through various personality tests, and I picked up a website where they have tests for personality, they have tests for subject, decision making tests, you have other tests also, analytical skills test. So I will share the link of that page. You scroll down, and the ending stages of the pages, you will have that personality test. It is the last test on that page, right? Take that, and you'd understand what I mean, right? And we'll talk about that in detail. But the specifically designed one is what you should be getting. So these tests, now the question is that what are we supposed to do in this test? How do we prepare for that test? I am giving you a link. You can go and take the test is free, right? You might need to log in and take that test, but you take the test, you will understand what it is, but how do we ensure that we perform best out there? See, as I told you, let me reiterate it. Personality tests are not tests where your answers are right or wrong. No, they only serve one purpose, and that is to show the right personality that you have, the personality that you have, to portray that, right? Okay. So there is no right or wrong in it. Having said that, one thing that you should keep in mind is that in ethical questions, the questions that are directly ethical, where the question is such that where you need to do something which is not right, directly not right, don't take an unethical stand there. So that's the only thing that you need to remember. Apart from that, you should mark whatever you think you would do in that particular situation, whatever you think is the right approach that you would take for that particular question. Okay, right? So I'll show you examples, you will understand. Achha, the second thing that you'll have to remember is have patience. For example, the link that I have given, the test in that link, that's a more than 20 pages test, right? So it would go on and on and on. So if you lose patience, you might not read the questions carefully, and if you might not read the questions carefully, you might answer the question not according to your personality, but something random. And you would say, sir, how does that matter? It matters because one of the major reasons these tests are designed is to test the consistency with which your character is built. So if I am saying to one question no, and if that question comes 2 pages later, if I say yes, that means my character is inconsistent. There is no match. I'm indecisive, right? So to check that, these tests are designed in such a way that you might get confused if you are not careful, if your concentration is not there, right? So this is something very important. I'll show that with examples. This is what I said, right? That people are not saying what exactly you need to do in these personality tests. And listen to this part very carefully, because this would give you an idea what you need to do. You need to be honest with yourself. Now you would say that's the easy part. No, my dear friend, that's not the easy part. Along with being honest with yourself, you'll have to have the patience and the concentration to see what you are marking. I give you examples. Like, these tests are designed to have variations of the same question. For example, there is a question, I am a team player. You mark, all of these questions normally take a Likert scale or a similar scale. Likert scale, that very high, neither high, neither low, very low and very low. This is the 5-point Likert scale. That it might be a 7-point also or a 6-point also, depending upon what how they want to make it. But basically, from one end of the spectrum to another end of the spectrum, your responses would lie, right? So I am a team player. You say very high. Okay. Then next, then after 10 questions, when you have forgotten what you have marked in I am a team player, because you would on an online test, when you move ahead, you might not be able to go back. So I almost never trust others. In that also you mark very high. Then you see there would be inconsistency that you are a team player but you do not trust others, right? Similarly, I am comfortable in social situation. If you mark very low, then what would happen? You are a team player and you are uncomfortable in social situation. How does it match? Right? Inconsistent. Okay. So in that condition, maybe there are 4 questions that are related to team effort. One you have marked very high, the rest you have marked very low. Then your score would be in the lower segment. And then when you go into the interview and say I am a team player, they would give you a situation where you are not a team player, right? So this is something that you need to understand, that if you are a team player, you are a team player. Then in these also you would give a respectively same kind of response. Yes, in some cases you should say high or neither high nor low. Maybe you can say I almost never trust other, neither high nor low, right? But I am comfortable in social situation, you might say high, but you would never say very low. Okay, so that consistency has to be there. Similarly, I'll give you other examples also, so that you understand what you need to do. I think my emotions are important. You think your emotions are important. Very good. But in a question later on, 2 pages later, I don't let people know if I am upset. If you are writing very high in this also, then these two does not match, na? Similarly, reflecting on emotion is a waste of time. Acha, you think your emotions are important, but you won't want to reflect. If you mark very high in there, then also it is inconsistent. So these inconsistencies, how would you avoid it? Can you avoid it by remembering all the question? 20 pages, 200 question. Can you avoid it? No. More than 100 questions might be there. Can you remember all of them, what you have marked? No. So the only way to avoid inconsistency is by being honest to yourself. Honest to yourself. And that's what they want also. So when we say na, in a psychometric test, be honest, this is what we mean. Because with honesty only you can have consistency of character. And then what would happen? And if you have done your interview preparation the way I have told you, in the links of the interview preparation, you would see how I have told you to make your happy G, how I have told you to make your flow chart. So if you have done those things, you are already a consistent character. You just need to portray it in the psychometric test. But that's it. Now, similarly, I always give things my all. Matlab, I give full effort. And then I say, I always find a way to avoid unpleasant situation. In this also I mark very high. That's not done. Then when I encounter difficulty, I like giving up. If in this also very high, that means either you have lied in I always give things in my all very high, or you are lying in this. Then 4 and 5. I am a risk taker. I have a very low opinion about myself. First, let's look at I am a risk taker. I am a risk taker. You said very high. Let's say there is no point in adventure. You are marking very high. That yes, I agree. That completely agree. It can be completely agree, somewhat agree, not agree, not disagree. Somewhat disagree and completely disagree. The scale might be devised in this way also. Okay, remember that. So there is no point in adventure, and you say agree to it, and you say agree to I am a risk taker also. How does it match? Similarly, risking is like gambling. If you think and you either win big or win lose, there also I am a risk taker does not, because if you have such negative connotation in your mind about risk, you would not be a risk taker. So if you are not a risk taker, write that I am not a risk taker. At that point of time, don't think, hey, if I write I am not a risk taker, they would think that I am a loser, and therefore I write I am a risk taker. Don't do that, because they have enough questions placed in a different way that would show that you have lied in this question. You get my point, right? Now, I have a very low opinion about myself. If you are high in that, then I feel I steer my life's direction. You cannot be high in that. You'll have to be low in that. Inconsistent. Acha, if you say I have a very low opinions about myself and you are low in that, no, I don't have very low opinion about myself. That means I have a high opinion about myself. I am confident. Then would I say I let others people take charge? No. I will surpass expectation. I will always feel I will surpass expectation if I have a high opinion about myself. So this is the way. And the key is honesty. The key is honesty. Take it? Understood? Now, situation does. So that was personality test, and that is, as I told you, 90% of recruiters take that, and you would get something like that. Or there might be a case where some situational questions are also included in that particular test. Majorly it's a personality test, and 10-20% is situational judgment test. So what is situational judgment test? See, situational judgment test can be an extension of Caliper profile or a customized one, a specifically designed one. Again, in the website link that I have given in the description, there is a link where you can go and take the situational judgment test also. Just beside the personality test, there is that situation judgment test. Though in situation judgment test, what you need to understand is that understand the situation carefully, and according to your ethics, according to how you would handle the situation, mark it. Again, there is no right or wrong answer. The only thing that you need to remember in that is that if something is grossly unethical, for example, you want to sell something and the customer asks you whether this has this property, it does not have that property, right? That product does not have that property, and you say the customer that it has that property because you want to sell that item, that is unethical. That is unethical. Now, if a customer does not ask anything, you talking about the good things which are right, which are true, good things about the product, and not talking about the limitations much is okay. That's not unethical. If the customer asks what are the limitations, you talk about it, it's okay, because that's how you sell, right? But if the customer expressly asks something which is not there and you say it is there, that is unethical, right? So these are the things that you need to avoid. Rest, whatever you do in normal circumstances, you will do in there also. The final test is theme-based test. I told you, in theme-based test, questions would come like, find the dissimilarities between two pictures. There are puzzle tests, there is one picture, there is another picture. The man is sitting beside a tree and there are two shrubs. In another picture, there is only one shrub. So, identifying these differences, okay. Then they might ask you to count the number of items in a picture, how many shrubs are there, how many ducks are there, or stuff like that, how many birds are there, how many animals are there. Then thematic appreciation test. Now, thematic appreciation test is normally a subjective test. It's taken by a lot of B schools. What essentially happens in that, what you need to do in here is that they give you a picture and ask you to write about what you think about it, a story about it within 100 words or 80 words. So, please do not try to be over creative. Do not try to be a Shakespeare or a Rabindranath Tagore. Just be yourself. Whatever you think about it in small sentences, just write it down. Okay. Being analytical is more important than being artistic in here. Okay. Clear? So that's what you do if there is a TAT. If there is a thematic appreciation test which is subjective in nature. If it is objective, you know what to do. They are pretty logical, they are pretty numerical, you will do that, right? Okay. So that was it. These are the three kind of tests that you might encounter. I have spoken about detail what you would most probably encounter and what you need to do in that. And so take the personality test, and if time allows, the other test also in the given link, and watch the lectures in the playlist that I am sharing with you completely, fully, because there will be enough. That would be enough for you to get you prepared for your GD or GE or interviews. Okay, all that is necessary you would have with you. So that's all the best, and perform your best in there. This is the last hurdle. Let's clear it with flying colors. All the best.